Hey, everybody. Welcome to this next episode of The Vortex. I'm your host, Kathleen Pitt. I have an amazing guest here with me today. I love her. I know her personally. I cannot wait for her to explain all about her Vortex and what she does. Starting out strong, let's just list her certifications. She's certified in Hypnosis, Reiki 1 and 2, NLP, Quantum Shift Time Technique, Life and Success Coaching, a level 1 and 2 Human Design Reader, Yoga certification, and EFT. That is a lot of certifications. She is the author and owner of the Rebel Manifestation Method, and she is into leading a movement of untamable humans who create the realities that bring them alive. Please welcome my guest, Genel. Lynne, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Great. I love that you just describe yourself as this like rebel manifestation queen. Like, let's talk about that. What is a rebel manifestation method? How did you get there? Like, that seems like a kind of a controversial title, and I'm sure people want to know about it more.
Sure. So, Rebel Manifestation was born because when I first discovered manifestation, discovered it from the scientific method, which was, everything subconscious and, going through your inner child wounding and all of that. And it was great and it worked for a time
Hmm.
until it stopped working.
Yeah,
And then I started kind of leaning into more of the spiritual side of things, which was great because I needed to learn it. And I started learning about my femininity and polarity, and again, how the quantum field ends up coming into all of this. And I just realized that I was getting angry because there were things that were being told to me or being suggested or that I'd be reading about that just didn't feel aligned with my energy.
sure.
And I was realizing that manifestation is not one size fits all.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, like you have to understand your personal quantum field. You have to tap into your soul's frequency, your soul's actual desires. And honestly, get really deep into who you are
Hmm.
at your essence. And I realized that at my essence, I'm a rebel.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm sure there's like a lot of other people that resonate with that too. Like, you're right. There are so many different methods, quote unquote, of manifestation. I think like people may like pick and choose what works for them or like, what aligns with them, which is fantastic. The problem becomes is when you say like, oh, I have the right way of doing it, or like, this is definitely
Exactly.
the only way to do it. And like, that's just not true, right? There are so
Yeah.
many other ways to manifest, whether you do like subconscious only or physical reality only or like woo woo only. Like
Yeah.
there's so many other whatever resonates. So like you're a rebel manifestation. Well, for anybody listening that like also resonates with being a rebel, like how do you manifest that way?
Yeah. So the rebel manifestation method is really a framework that takes you through unlocking your personal quantum field at all 10 levels. So when you look into the ancient texts, when you study Kundalini, when you study the chakra system, like you kind of see that there are layers to your physical body within the chakra system and your energetic bodies
Yeah.
that go beyond the physical. And
Hmm.
so rebel manifestation is really this understanding of, okay, from soul all the way to fully expressed and actualized
I
spirit
love
self.
that. I know if you're watching this on or listening to this, you're not watching it on YouTube, that little thumbs up thing just came up and it always comes up like when spirit is trying to like drive a point home. So thumbs up.
Yes. Um, to be able to go from soul all the way to actualized, you have all of these energetic bodies and filters that are your personal quantum field that will actually filter through your manifestation, or rather, your manifestation will filter through them. So it'll start at your soul and then it'll go through like the limbic system, which is like the negative mind, the positive mind, the
Hmm.
neutral mind. Then it goes through your physical body, any epigenetics that need to be turned on or turned off, any trauma that needs to be released.
Hmm.
Then you have, your third eye, which is kind of like the sixth energy body. Um, you have the pranic body, like literally your breath, your energy, life force. Then you have your aura, which is like all of the information that your field carries of past and future. And then you still have the subtle body, and then you have the radiant body. So as your manifestation comes through all of these forms, there's actually all of these layers that you get to work with
Yeah.
and the fears that come up at each of those layers. And
Mm.
fear has been huge for me in my manifestation process. So, rebel manifestation is really understanding where is your quantum field in collapse
Hmm.
personally? How
Sure.
can you open up and create the space? What fears are coming up for you? Because that'll really tune you into where in the quantum field you're not fully actualizing, where the energy is not flowing, where it's stagnant, where it's getting stuck,
Sure.
and moving through that.
Right.
A really important thing in rebel manifestation is also your values. And for me, rebellion is obviously a value, but also some of the things that have gotten me in trouble in the past, some of the
Mm.
things that have,
Which is
um,
directly linked to fear too, right? Like it's all linked together.
yeah, it's linked to fear. It's also just owning those pieces of yourself. So, like, fear has always been a compass for me. It's always told me what direction to go. I've always gone too deep, too fast.
Mm.
And like recognizing that depth is a value of mine, like being able to own these parts of yourself that are your values that normally you would recognize as a shadow. So, rebel
Right.
manifestation is basically heavy amounts of quantum work and heavy amounts of shadow work.
Yeah, I know.
And
And it's so funny
yeah,
you said that because like at the beginning we said, there's so many different ways, pick and choose like what you want, what resonates with you. Like, I mean, at the core of it all, it is like your future version of you and integrating your shadow. Like, I mean, there are many different ways to do it, like what resonates, rebel manifestation, people who listen to Abraham Hicks, people who do Joe Dispenza, people who do just like neuro, like biological feedback, rewiring, etc. But it is like fear, shadow work versus light work, which is your future version, that higher frequency that you're trying to embody.
yeah,
So basically,
absolutely.
you're saying like rebel manifestation is manifestation, which is like the dream, the frequency that you're pulling in, and you pull it through each of these centers, and you get to figure out like where it's being stuck. Is that what you're kind of
Kind
saying?
of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that that's a really good summarization of
sure. Very simple, but
concept.
yeah.
Yeah, it's super simplified because at the end of the day, it's going to be different for each person. I love to really focus in on polarity points as well, which is masculine versus feminine. And I say masculine, feminine, it could be yin yang. We have a spectrum of that. And so also recognizing your spectrum and integrating that is huge.
Yeah.
But it's me sharing about these things. This is what's been helping me. It's been what's working for me. And it's a
Oh yeah.
system that if you've never done it before or if you've been feeling stuck, we're going to be able to find where you've been stuck and help you through it. But the truth is it's all a spectrum. Everything works, so to
Yeah.
speak, as long as it works for you.
Yeah.
And
And
so
it's you're like the when you said it worked, it's helping you too. Like I always find that when my clients, like when I take them through a group program start to finish, like we go through each energetic body in my program Super Creator, and like literally every time like my client goes through an up level or I'm talking or discussing, like it shows up in my reality too, whether that be because my RAS is activated, my reticular activating system, or because like, and it's probably both, like, and my spirit guides are showing me like, hey, you still have a throat block or whatever it is. It's like, oh, wow, we're working on throat this week or whatever. So it's always amazing how those clients like mirror back to you.
I mean, you're never done.
No, hell
If
no.
you're a coach, you're never done. Like,
Yeah, you're just
there's
really like
always
one
something
step
more.
ahead of the person you're working with, is really what it
Yeah,
comes down to.
exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about you being a rebel. Like give us like examples of your rebellion. Like where are
Oh
you
God.
rebelling? Where have you started rebelling? When did you recognize like you were just doing things against the norm? Like what sticks out
I've
for you?
always known.
I've always actually known.
I think I was like a little kid and I saw tattoos and I was like, I like that. And my mom said those are bad. And I was like,
Mm, classic.
oops.
Oopsies.
Like, I think that I'm
It.
about to be bad for the rest of my life. Like,
I got tough news for you, sister. Buckle
yeah,
in. Yeah.
it was always the contrarian. I always wanted to know why.
Yeah.
I always wanted to play devil's advocate. Like, we're talking little kid, little kid.
Yeah.
I
What did they
was,
say to them? They said it to me and they said it to my brother. We're like Irish twins almost, is like you're gonna be a great lawyer. or like you should join the debate team. And now you know, like as an adult, it really just like an adult saying like you're an asshole. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I
It's
heard that a
so
lot.
true. I say that to
Um,
my son too. I'm like, you're gonna be so good at debate team, like just so good at it.
mhm. I think I also one time was told that I should enter politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was maybe when I was like just a tiny bit older.
You gonna do
Like,
it?
no.
No, I don't know. You gotta
I
shake
mean,
it
I'm
up.
not gonna like run for anything because I want to destroy.
I know. Well, hey, we
I
got
want
to
to destroy the
infiltrate.
government.
Inside out. We got to do it from the inside out. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody recently. We'll see how what order these are released in about like we're recording this in mid-January. It's been about a month, I think, since Luigi assassinated the United Healthcare CEO. And it's like that happened right after Pluto entered Aquarius, which is that shift, that dawn of the new age, or people that power is going to the people, and we're tired of the way things have been going, and like we want a new structure. Now, I'm not advocating for anybody to go out there and start assassinating people, but there is, yeah, like, okay, guys, that's not what we're saying. But we
Let's
are
definitely
saying,
not say that.
yeah, we're not saying that. Please don't cancel me already. But like, it's definitely like this moment of like, well, how do we change things? Like, how do we move the needle in our world, in our society? And like, for your like your method you're using, rebel manifestation, super creator, like I think the bottom line is like really helping people step into their power, like really showing people that they have the ability to take hold and like change the narrative in whatever way that is, whether that be questioning shit or running for office. I'm just saying it could be an inside out approach.
Yeah, well, when we think about it that way, really what we're saying is your intuition, your soul, who you are, your essence
Hmm.
came here already equipped with everything that it needs
Yeah.
to actualize your dreams, your passions, your desires. And those desires were placed in you because they are important to the collective. So
Yes.
if you are here and you have found yourself as a rebel, a black sheep, somebody who does not fit in, somebody who thinks differently, that is because you're here to change things. And I
Hmm.
guarantee you that there is somebody who is waiting for you to step into your power. So that way, not that they can be validated, but so that way they can see that they can step into their power as well.
Well, yeah, it's
Because
about like
everyone's
giving,
energetic. Huh?
sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you, but it's like about giving permission.
Exactly.
Yeah, I say that like in all my messaging, like we are waiting for you. We are all waiting for you because like you don't even know who's waiting for you to show up, to like just own your voice and say like I have something to say and I'm ready to say it. And maybe you're not ready to say it, right? Maybe you do need to go through a rebel manifestation method. Maybe you do need to join a program or like an embodiment coach, like have somebody to show you like, hello, you have permission to say the things that you want to say. And so I think I just need to say this intuitively, like for anybody listening, like you're already an expert at something that you know of, and what are you not saying? Like it's really time to speak up, because if you feel that burning, that passion, that desire to change things, to change the narrative, to step into that power, like there are people waiting for you to do that.
And it doesn't have to look like anybody else's method.
Exactly. You get to
Like,
make
I
your
think that
own.
that's the most important part. Sometimes you have something burning and you want to say it, and either you feel like you don't have enough, certification under your belt.
Yeah.
Raise your hand over here. That was me.
Is that why you have so many?
Yeah, yeah.
I just
I
thought
just
I'd
need
ask.
something. I just need to know one more thing to make sure that I'm doing it right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah,
and
that's such a big fear for a lot of people.
yeah. And it's so funny because me, the queen of like going and getting certifications for no reason, I have a friend who is an incredible diver. She's gotten a degree in like environmental sciences and biology and all of these things, and she's gotten all of the certifications in diving that you can like get
Yeah.
under the sun. She's an instructor, all of that. And she told me that she wanted to start building something online. She was like, I would love to like build a course or something. And I said, Oh
Mm.
my gosh. I gave her like 15 ideas because I was just excited. I was like, Oh, you could do this. Oh, you could do that.
Yeah,
She was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
nobody else has done that yet. And I was like, Good. It's blue ocean. Go for it. You have like nobody else has done it. You'll be the only one.
Right.
Like all of the clients will be yours. And she was like, Oh, what do I feel like I need to take a course. And I was like, In what?
Yeah,
And
totally.
I recognized it in her because I remember being there. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And actually, a lot of my clients have that. I have an incredible client that I'm working with. She's got a great idea, And she's been sitting on it for basically 4 months now.
Yeah.
Because, well, when we first started working together, she's moving now, but she was sitting on it for basically 4 months
Hmm.
because she didn't feel like she had, enough understanding to
Yeah.
be able to make this new thing happen. And that's really what's huge right now. It's like they say that there's nothing new under the sun. And yet I'm seeing right now a lot of ideas being born
Hmm.
that are just mutated and packaged new ways, combining old ideas so that they operate better, so that way they flow more easily. And honestly, even restructuring, like there's somebody in a mastermind I'm working with. She is wanting to restructure government. That's literally what she came for. She was like, "Oh, I don't have a
Heck
business. I'm
yeah.
just trying to restructure the government." And I'm like, "That's badass."
God, you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody has to do it. And so if that's what is, like burning you up, if that's what's exciting you, that's where you have to move.
Yeah, and like I
Mhm.
always say too, like it could be the same thing too. Like I just saw this thing on Threads, and this girl was like, "Oh my God, I'm so bummed. I was just gonna release this like 4-page tarot spread, like, like decipher, like dictionary, and somebody so similar to me is releasing one today." And like I said, go for it. What are you waiting for? And she was like, that's not the point. Like I said, there's no scarcity. Like there's hundreds of clients. Like just go ahead and release it. And she said, that's not the point. The point is the unfortunate timing. And I thought, I just was like, what are you scared of? Because you know what it is, right? She's scared of being seen as like she's copying. She's scared of being seen as like, less than or who's better. But like 100% their followers are not the same. 100% she made that herself. Like just release it to the collective because your frequency is different than their frequency. And it doesn't matter if it's been done before, it hasn't been done by you. And you are going to influence way different people than the other 10 people who've already done that.
And how often does spirit speak? Does spirit only speak to one person at a time?
Hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
What did I
I
say? I said to one mentor one time, I couldn't, I had a similar thing where I had a program and I wasn't releasing it. I was just scared to really, I'm like, I don't know. I can't, I'm just weenie. And she was like, okay, well, don't. I mean, don't do it. And just wait for it. I said, yeah, I'll probably just wait till I feel better. She goes, or spirit will give the idea to somebody else. I mean, that's just the truth. It's like you can do it or not, but our spirit's going to give it to somebody else. And that's, fine. And it's true. And it may not be successful if I waited any longer. And
and how
so,
many times have you seen like the same program name across
oh,
like I
I've
don't know,
seen it a
because we're
lot.
in the industry,
Yeah.
like I see there's a numerologist who has a program called The One. There's a shaman who has a program called The One. And there's a marketing expert with a program called The One. And when I did research, they all basically taught the same outcome.
Right. And I don't even know. They probably don't even know each other, do they?
They don't know each other. I know that
Yeah.
they don't know each other
Yeah,
because
I
I
know.
know all of them. Like I
Yeah.
am a degree between each one. But it's fascinating because they release the same name, the same outcome, and I know for a fact that all of them have radically different methods.
Exactly. And so the whole thing is it's
Spirit
like
gave it to me.
your frequency is going to attract those who are vibrating and resonating at your frequency. And so everyone's frequency is different. So it doesn't matter if it's done before, it doesn't matter if it's never been done before. The point is that you're supposed to do it. If you have a calling and a heaviness on your heart to bring it to the collective, to shift the paradigm, to make ripple effective change, like we are waiting for you. We are all waiting for you to start showing up in your authenticity and leadership and make the impact that you were born to have in this world.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel? That's how I feel. Sorry.
I feel like
Mic drop.
are we both on fire over here? Because I'm feeling the heat. It's really
Yeah, we gotta
exciting.
stop feeling the heat. I'm feeling it. So you've always been a rebel. Now you got a rebel manifestation program you're meant to bring to the collective.
Hmm.
What is it? You talk a lot about shadow work and the fear of like bringing that. Like, how has that shown up for you? Let us learn from you. What's been going on?
Oh, Kathleen, how has the shadow shut up for me?
Eyes
You know,
rolled back so far in her head. She couldn't see, she saw the other wall.
saw the other wall. The shadow, the shadow has come up in every possible aspect of my life because the truth is, once I realized that fear was both my compass And it was the thing that was holding me back because instead of allowing it to help me fuel a fire and make choices, I was allowing the fear to drown me.
Sure.
So it's like you're drowning in the fuel instead of allowing it to be used for its purpose, which is to be integrated, to shine the light on it, to wake you up. And I mean, you know this, you've seen it in my life. I was riddled with fear
Yeah.
across all areas. Like, there isn't enough clients. I don't have enough after certifications, it was like, well, I haven't manifested things that like normal manifestation coaches have.
Hmm.
Like, I don't have a million dollars sitting cash in my bank account right now. So, like, I don't know if I can do it, even though I live on a 500-acre ranch with horses and cows, and that's well over 8 million.
Right.
Like, even though I have manifested multiple international moves and I have a house by the beach and like all of these things in my
Yeah, yeah,
life
yeah.
that are incredible and beautiful. And I know I've manifested them. Like 4 years ago,
100%.
I was living in the woods in a tent. Let's be
That was a
real.
wild part of your story, by the way. I was like,
I
whoa,
know.
okay.
Like, and the truth is, like, I have lived lifetimes in a very short period of time
Hmm.
as I moved from completely disempowered, like, and operating from that place. Like, I grew up as a little girl in a trailer.
Hmm.
And I grew up feeling completely disconnected from my home and from my essence because, I grew up speaking Spanish and then we weren't speaking Spanish anymore because we needed to like integrate into society. And
Sure.
like all of these things that made me feel so disempowered, and I never recognized that I had the choice.
Right. Because those are just like yeah, those are the loops and the patterns like that are established so young, like 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, right? Those are the sections in which we establish these blocks. So, and then everyone's trauma is different, everyone's parents different, but a lot of times what happens is like, your parents were probably doing just the best that they could. I know mine were just like trying to do the best that they could with what they had. And so even like saying like, okay, don't speak Spanish anymore, speak English. Like we just want to be integrated in society. Very well meaning, but what it did as a young girl is probably signified, and correct me if I'm wrong, was like, you're not good as you are. You
Mhm.
need to hide who
It's
you
not safe
are.
to be who you are.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
Yeah.
Like, if you speak Spanish, kids are going to make fun of you. If you have an accent, kids will make fun of you. Like, I have the most neutral English accent ever for having had a Latina
Right. And you
background
live in the
and for
South
living
too.
in the southern Georgia.
Yeah.
My accent is exceptionally neutral, and I was raised that way.
Right.
And when you receive the messaging that it's not safe, fear gets born, obviously, at a very young age, but it gets born across all kinds of layers of,
Hmm.
who you are, who's around you, what you can do, what you can't do, what might happen if you break any of those rules.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I was such a rebel. I broke the rules all the time anyway, and I was scared shitless all the time, but I
Yeah.
couldn't stop
Kept doing it.
myself.
Yeah.
I like to say that my soul was just really fiery. Like, she came here to be a rebel. She came to be fiery, and so she was going to do it whether it sucked or not. And by the time that I was like 17 years old, I remember telling a friend, like, she said something and she was like, "Oh, that's scary." And I was like, "Well, fear's my compass. Guess we got to go do it." And she was like, "What?" And I went, "Yeah, like, if it's scary, got to jump off the cliff." And
Hmm.
that's gotten me through incredible, amazing experiences. It's also saved my life because honestly, how many times might I have died being a complete moron in
Sure.
my teens and 20s? Like, and yet all of those experiences that I've collected, like, I wouldn't trade them because they
100%. Yeah.
all, yeah, they brought me to where I am now, and they gave me all of these pieces. And in my human design, my incarnation cross is actually the cross of I think it's prevention is what it's called. But essentially, like, you have to experience everything and then help people not have to experience it.
Yeah. Well, lucky you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. And
Um,
there's so much there like I could talk about. Like it's just so like okay, using fear as your compass. Like one of the things that I see often is that people anything that's not safe, like they won't lean into it, right? So like anytime they want to invest in a program or they won't, or anytime they want to start that business or they won't, or want to birth that program of course, but they won't. It's like your dream life is on the other side of fear. And it, obviously this is like the more manual or physical part of manifestation is that is unfamiliar to the nervous system, therefore signaling that it's unsafe. And like people will just stay on the other side, like in fear, rather than lean into the discomfort, know that it's not going to kill them, that they're not going to be eaten by a tiger or a bear, because literally that's what it feels like. It's not your fault. Like this is literally what your human body was designed to do. But you will and have so much success in manifestation because you do the opposite. Like when you see fear, you really like lean into it and say like, okay, well, what's on the other side of this? Like if I lean into the discomfort, what's on the other side of this? So it's twofold, right? Like we thank our fear for being there so we can lean into discomfort. And then as you evolve and grow, and I'm sure this has happened for you too, is that it's just more of like, actually, I don't need to go away. It's not like an away strategy anymore. Like it's more of just like using that fear as a beacon for like, what am I actually afraid of? Like what is actually going on in the background here, and to making me like, how is that working so that now I can determine my next move, and how do I just get rid of that altogether?
Hmm. Yeah, there's two things that kind of come up for me on that. The first one is changing your relationship with failure.
Sure. Yeah.
Because, I mean, queen of failure over here.
Same.
I have had so many mistakes and having to get up and back on the horse and like keep moving and remembering that failure now represents to me that I tried and that I did and that I moved and that I've learned, as opposed to failure representing that I failed and therefore every time now that I try again, I'm going to fail. Like
Yeah.
your past cannot inform your now or your future. And so on that regard, yeah, like failure has to be, you have to like adjust your relationship with it and what it means to you. But even beyond that, I had something.
That's all right. It's okay too, because it's also like not making that failure mean anything about your worthiness. Like you're worthy as you breathe, you're worthy as you exist, you're worthy just for being. And it's unfortunate, like how many people don't know that or don't embody that truth. Like I know I didn't. Like I mean, for a long time, it was like worthiness in success and achievements, and like what can I manifest? Like you said, I don't have $1 million sitting in a bank account, so can I teach manifestation? Fuck yeah, because it's not just about that. Like it's about all these other beautiful things that people are manifesting all the time. Like you are worthy and powerful and a powerful manifester. And then even, finding the manifestation method that resonates with you.
Yeah, and what are your values? Like,
Well, what are your values? You mentioned
if
that
your
before.
values don't align with having $1 million sitting in a bank account, you're not going to manifest that. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Also,
Now,
what is $1 million sitting in a bank account? Useless. It's not doing anything. It's working
yeah,
in circulation
honestly, it's
for
like the
the
worst place to put it.
It's the worst place to put it. So you mentioned that a couple times out, aligning with your values. Like, what are your values? And when you say align with them, like, give us some like tangible
Sure.
actions that you do to align with your values.
Sure. So, I mean, for me, I have to run every decision by all of my values and make
Okay.
sure that that aligns and is in resonance with all of them. Now, normally, in the past when I did, I did like my compass for life. I would put together all of my values. I always kind of kept it to four. This was through another manifestation method of neural manifestation where they, helped you to tune into your authenticity. And so there's like a couple of books it's based off of. I don't remember them now, but if we want to, we can add them to the show notes. I don't know. Um, all of that to say, like I used to tune into my authenticity and my values would be like, creativity and freedom and security. And everybody wants that. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Everybody wants those basic human
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once I started really understanding, oh, wait, my values are going to be the things that have gotten me in trouble in the past, the
Okay.
things that I absolutely cannot ignore, the
Hmm.
things that are the most important to me. I think somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody described it as if you have a 14-year-old boy who loves video games
Hmm.
and he's always playing them and he gets in trouble all the time because you tell him that there's a time limit and sometimes he'll even fake being sick and not go to school so that way he can stay home and play video games, then like video games are his value.
Okay.
Now,
It's my
it
6-year-old.
might be that as he gets older, that value changes, and maybe what really the value is that he likes building worlds.
Got
He's
it.
creative and he wants to have like a control and a power, and like that's what he felt because it was that one specific video game. So there is layers to it.
Sure.
But at the essence, as a 14-year-old, that is his value, and the values can change. Now, when I think about that definition of value and I look at my life, what has gotten me in trouble? Rebellion has always gotten me in trouble because I can't help myself. I have to do the opposite. I just
Okay.
have to. And sovereignty has always been a value.
Mm,
Like, I want to do it because it was my choice.
sure. Yeah.
And if it was my choice, like perfect. I got myself into the pickle. I can get myself out. Like that sovereignty is a huge value for me. Depth is a value for me. I've always gone too deep too quickly. Like
Mm,
could struggled to make friends as a kid because I did not have a filter.
yeah.
It was just depth. Like I
That's my
wanted to
favorite part
know.
about being me now, though. Like I
Yeah.
same way. I'd be like, so why does your mom sleep in the other room? They'd be like, what is your problem? You just came over. I was like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird. Like
Yeah, you needed to
I don't know why
know.
that was the first example that came up, but I was like, why are we not asking this? And like, but the truth is, when you ask those questions, people normally answer. But yeah, like I agree. And now that's why, like, you and I are so good at what we do, or like why people feel so connected with us. And like, we've talked about gene keys before. Like, if you're like that, more than likely you have a gene key of storytelling or a gene key of like asking the right questions so that people feel heard. Like, it's actually your fucking superpower. It's not something like you were made to feel ashamed of it, but like the truth is, it's like that is exactly what makes you you and the gift that you're supposed to bring to the collective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I have the storytelling. I don't know if it's in my gene key sequence, but it's definitely in my human design.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just like this need to get to the root of things. Um,
Now.
so depth, that's that's a massive value for me. Let's see. I've said rebellion, depth. We've already talked about fear being the compass, which
Hmm.
kind of goes into rebellion. Talked about sovereignty. I had to own the fact that money is
Okay.
actually a value for me. It kind of ties
Fun.
into sovereignty, but the truth is, like, my whole life, I did things for money. And not like, oh, I'll work a boring job. No, like, I'm going to work the boring job and then I'm going to get two other ones. And I want to make sure, and this is why I tuned into sovereignty so much. Like, I
Mm,
never wanted to have to bow to somebody's rules and limitations ever again.
I see. Yeah.
And so I always would chase the money.
So is
But
it money or is it freedom then?
well, so here's why. When I look at money specifically, I'm going to
Sure.
own it because I actually love money.
Own it.
Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Money
not
loves
just,
you.
yeah, but it's not just like, okay, money for sovereignty. Like, I want money because I like to be able to help other people. I like money because it is fun. I want money because I like to literally play with it and watch it multiply, even if I
Hmm.
have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Like, I have investment accounts that I can't touch because they're IRAs.
Hmm.
There's really no point to me now, like mentally, besides like some tax savings, in having an IRA if you can't physically touch it. But I just like to play with it. I won't let somebody else manage my money.
Got it.
Like, I don't do Vanguard. I don't do that. Everything I have to self-manage. And I use it to invest. And I play games with my investments and started out horribly, but within a couple of years, like I'm averaging way more than I ever would have averaged
Hmm.
with another like financial advisor or someone managing my money.
Yeah.
Just
Do you
because
teach that in your programs about management of money?
I do, I have a program that talks about how to make it multiply and
That's
you
cool.
know, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just going to
Yeah.
tell you what worked for me. I'm going to tell you what
We're
spirit
not giving you
had me.
financial advice and we're not telling you to shoot anybody. Just so we're clear on this podcast, we are in our zones here.
Yeah. But
Disclaimer.
yeah, and that's why like money, I've just decided to own it as a value. I love it. It's fun.
Great.
And like it's not just going to be a source of sovereignty. It can be just a source of straight up game. playing pleasure like numbers.
So what you're saying is the reason that that video game thing resonated with you so much is because you like playing video games too, but you're just playing in the investment
I like
portfolio.
playing with numbers. Yes. I love watching the lines go up and down. I love seeing that green, like, oh, you did it. And I actually like seeing the red too when it crashes. I'm like, ooh, do I have like $1,000 that I can invest in this thing right now? Like,
Sure, sure.
where's the money? Like, did I get that dividend yet? Oh, hell yeah, I did. Great. Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna reinvest it and I got it on sale.
I
Like, I love,
know. You know what's so crazy? I was listening to a podcast. It was a while ago. I would say like 3 or 4 years ago, but I said like the average rate of return for investing in the stock market is like between 8 to 10%. Okay. And that's like yearly, which,
oh,
but
that's
listen to me. I know your numbers are amazing. If you can share them with us if you want. But I'm just saying, like, so many people are like, they invest or they pull their funds out of fear, like they let that fear move. But the truth is like over like long term, it is a steady, large growth rate. So it's like, I don't know, the podcast was talking about, I have to find it. Maybe I can link it in the show notes, but it was talking about how females, it was like directed at female and like taking back our power with money and how we have been disempowered for so long, or we have had our sovereignty taken away. Like, was it like 1972 women were allowed to own a credit card or something? Like, that's fucking insane to me that like our mothers were in that period when they were allowed to own it. Like, we're not so removed from
mhm.
women not having financial independence and power. So, and some people still
Yeah.
don't. So,
My
like, I don't know. I just
grandmother
that
literally had to hide money with a friend of hers who was unmarried so she could pay for her divorce.
Yeah, I know. And unfortunately that still is happening in, in even in developed countries, but it is better. But there's still so much work to be done around like women and finances and financial literacy. And I just love that you teach that a little bit in your programs because it's true. It can be fun. It's not just for men. It is like when money is feminine. Receiving money is feminine energy. That is the whole point of feminine energy, is to be aligned with the frequency of receiving money in abundance. So they're not separate from each other, these ideas. And like we do, we get to be in control and have ownership of money and watch it and play with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we do. And the truth is, nervous system wise, women are actually the best
Oh my God,
money
100.
management.
The
Like,
best
of
at
course,
everything.
I know, but like when we look
Good
at
news is my listeners are mostly women. So they're
yeah.
like, yeah, girl.
No, but when we look at the statistics of investing
Yeah.
across the board, women have a generally higher return because we tend to not make as fearful based emotional decisions. We're capable of holding on for longer periods of time.
Shocker.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's be real. If you've navigated a rocky marriage, you can absolutely navigate the stock market. You're going to be fine. If you've navigated a toddler's temper tantrums, you've got the stock market and crypto. You can add
In
crypto.
the bag. In the
Like,
bag,
yeah,
sis.
it's
You got it.
so easy because all you have to do is decide. And you can base it off of research, you can base it off of intuition and spirit. I've done both. And then you can just watch it and you can see. And when it goes down, you just go, it's fine. I'm not drawing it out today. Better yet, this is just for play. So I'm just going to keep playing with it. Like I've tested my manifestation methods on money. And sometimes when I am personally at my worst,
Mm-hmm.
in fear, etc. You've seen some of these moments, like my stock market is doing amazing, and it's like the one thing that keeps me sane. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I've been doing money manifestation practices, and like I just went up to 27% in return, in addition to my 14 return this
Did you
month.
hear that,
Like,
everybody? 27%.
it's very exciting if you like numbers.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think too, like that's just a beautiful, like I agree. Like you can do it by the numbers, you can do it intuition based, why ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both? You can do both of these things with your intuition and your physical reality. But I think your guides give you that as like a reminder. It's always a reminder of like keep going, keep going, keep going, because this is like sometimes, making decisions off your external environment is the go-to. That's how we've been programmed to make our decisions. And like actually it's our external world is a mirror of our internal world up into this point. So while you're shifting your internal world, your external world may not show you the validation that you want or require. And so, we see the 111 on the microwave or 222 on our phone, but even that is also another sign and confirmation of like keep going, keep going. Like your external world will catch up. You just have to keep maintaining that internal world composure.
yeah. And honestly, like I remember when I was pregnant, now that we're tuning into kind of like this intuition thing, like when I first discovered I was pregnant, I was not certain that I wanted to
Yeah.
do that. First of all, at that point in my life, I had done so much work to become connected to my authenticity, and yet, like, what I desire now, like my true soul desire that like bringing into actualization, I never would have even, like, if somebody had told me then that that was happening, I'd be like, you're bullshitting me. I don't want kids. I don't want a family. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, that
You
was
rebel.
who I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that time, I didn't
Yeah.
see my essence being able to coexist with the
Right.
polarity of motherhood, of being able to care for somebody else. And at that time, like I was in a really rocky place. I mean, I'm not in a rocky place in my marriage. It's just like it's dissolving finally. But at the time, I was still in this place where I was questioning, like, do I even want to be married anymore?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if I want to be a mother. Like, this was, in a way, a rock bottom because I needed to have everything shaken to be able to
Sure.
really get down to who my essence was. But when I wasn't sure and I was like, the numbers don't make sense, I shouldn't be having a kid, my marriage doesn't make sense, I shouldn't be having a kid, like all of these reasons externally, my grandma said that I shouldn't have this baby. My best friend was like, I don't think you should have this baby.
Golly.
Yeah, like everyone was like, no. My parents, of course, they polar opposite.
Probably.
And they were like, you should. And so then I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to just because they said I should. And I'm driving in my car. I'm driving from Mexico back to the United States. So like extreme amount of time driving the car.
Yeah. That was the longest.
Yeah, the longest. And I listened to um, this podcast episode by like on YouTube by this guy named Matt Kahn. He's like really funny looking, but it spoke to me so deeply on this whole like surrender concept, this feminine concept of surrender,
Mm,
like allowing yourself to listen to spirit and sometimes know that when things are getting rocky, it's actually your soul.
right.
Like this isn't how he said it, this is how I'm saying it. And literally every like time that I looked up at a license plate, it would have like angel numbers. I was seeing
Mm.
specifically, I was seeing 222 everywhere.
Oh,
Everywhere.
like you and your child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw 222 everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I called my one of my best friends at the time, one of the ones who was like, you shouldn't do it. And I was like, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm not saying I want it, but I am going to battle with you until we get the answer. And she was like, okay, cool. She and I were on the phone for 4.5 hours, and we ended with her being like, you absolutely have to have this baby. She was like, you just must.
You just
Um,
must.
yeah, and it was one of those things where I recognized not only how spirit was speaking to me, but like I had done plant medicine and I had felt like the plant medicine was even speaking to me in that moment, like weeks later, that this was a part of my soul's evolution and getting me back to my own authenticity, that it was going to bring me magnetism. And I was just like,
Mm,
okay, well, I guess in a weird sort of way, I'm going to be the rebel and I'm going to have this kid, even though it feels against my polarity because it's doing something that my parents would want.
sure. Yeah.
But nobody else thinks I should do it. At the end of the day, I don't know what my external reality is saying. I
Yeah.
just know what spirit is saying, and I know what my spirit is like, my soul is saying.
Yeah.
And so I jumped off the cliff and became a mom.
Yeah.
That's
I know
a
what a
really
cliff,
big
right?
deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. Like being a mom like shifted everything about my life. Like, and I hate this and I say this often to people, like I hate that it's something that you only know about until after you become a mom because there are so many wonderful, beautiful people that would make amazing mothers. And it's not like, oh, we know more than you. Not at all. It's just so hard to describe to anyone how your world shifts, like you shift. Like no, I was something you said at the beginning of that story when you were saying like this wasn't who I was and what I wanted to bring to the world. In my head, I got like a ping, an intuitive thought of like, well, that's because you needed to become a mother and your world shift to then have the strength to bring it to the collective. Like I think
Yep.
I sometimes I say to my husband, like half joking, like, boy, I'd be able to do a lot of shit if I wasn't a mom. Like I really would be able to have like the most dialed in, tuned in life. Like I would be able to do whatever I wanted. But the truth is like becoming a mom, going through what I went through changed my entire world. Like I became more powerful, I became stronger, I became more determined. I recognized my strength, like, oh my God, labor alone. And then those like 3 months postpartum are the worst. Like it's like who I don't even know who that was that got me and my children over to the other side of that. But that is the innate power and strength that I hold all the time. It's not just exclusive to pregnancy and birth.
Yeah.
So yeah, there probably was an element there of like actually becoming a mother is going to change your point of magnetism and change your the way you view yourself in alignment and allow
Yeah.
you to have the strength to bring it to the world.
Well, the truth is, like, now that I'm a mom, I can get more done in 2 hours than I got done in 12
Oh,
before.
I know. I wasted so much time. What a waste. What a
I had
waste of
no
a life.
idea. I
Yeah.
just had no idea.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
becoming a mother was something that really, I mean, I'm the Venus mother on Instagram,
Yeah.
and me choosing that handle and like choosing that name for myself was actually really scary because it was the first time that I was just like, okay, I'm gonna own this essence, like this soul essence of like being nurturing, of being a mother, not just to my kid, but like I don't mother my clients, but like there's mother wound healing that occurs. There is
100%. Yeah.
so much power that I was embracing in that moment that I was afraid of before because I didn't see women as powerful. I didn't see mothering as a powerful
Mm.
um job, as a potent calling, like none of that. And it's funny because I chose that and then I go on this journey and I start recognizing like how being in birth, like
Yeah.
that process of
Yeah.
taking a soul and tethering it to a body and then expulging, I think is the word,
Yeah.
like it into this planet, into the 3D, that is radical. Like,
Yeah. No other word.
pain. There's not words to describe the
Yeah.
power that occurs in that moment. And then recognizing that that energy that helped me to birth a baby is the same energy that helps me to birth a business.
100.
Like, it's the same energy that helps me to birth ideas and writings and to be able to hold space for a client as they're going through it because I know the patience that is required.
Hmm.
And I know the pain and the cracking and the literal like the bones that have to move and make space. Like all of that, I never would have been able to understand
Yeah.
before I gave birth to a child. I apologized to my mom so many times. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry for those times you told me I would never get it until I was a mom. Now I'm a mom and I get it.
I get
Now
it.
you're
It was kind of a
right.
pain in the ass.
I
Yeah.
really was.
Yeah. Sorry about
And it's
that.
and just because you're not a mom does not mean that you will never know this power because there's so many other ways I think that you can tap
Oh,
into
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
I think
For
I just
me, I had to become a mom. That was just my
exactly.
journey. Like I would not have pushed myself to another breaking point otherwise. And I felt like that was probably the easiest way for Spirit to do it. And Spirit could have maybe spread them out a little bit farther or not had me go through NP school or like maybe one less move, maybe would have been a better way to like get me through that transition. But it's all working out for me. It's all working out in my favor. So,
Hmm.
okay, so you have the rebel manifestation method. You're a rebel at heart. You are so powerful standing in that feminine frequency and embodiment. What does it look like to work with you? And like, what are your offerings right now? If someone's listening to this and being like, I'm a rebel, like I know someone is, I know like 11 people are actually. I'm a rebel too. Like, I don't want to do it the way that other people are doing it. Like, how do they reach out to you? What are your offerings? Tell us a little bit about what it's like to work with you.
Sure. So, I have a lot of offerings, but I think that what I'm going to highlight right now are there's kind of two pathways
Okay.
that you can work with me. So the first, if money feels like a value for you, you can jump in on wealth codes and inheritance.
Mm.
These are my two money manifestation and management programs. So
Hmm.
wealth codes is kind of like the sampler, gives you a lot of the information and it's like focused to money manifestation. And then that's wealth codes. And then inheritance is this year actually it's going through a bunch of upgrades. Every single month we're workshopping a new theme. January is money multiplication month, so we're actually going into what I've invested in over the past few years, how I've gotten the returns that I've gotten, what spirit has channeled to me, and then I've gotten to confirm one of my gene keys is all about like clairvoyance of seeing the future, but it's data based. It's like a
Beautiful.
fun gene key.
Yeah.
Um, and we're like, that's what we're workshopping this month. But every month it'll be a different thing in regards to growing your money for an inheritance for yourself and to leave behind for future generations,
Love that.
whether that be your family or, a movement that you want to support. So that pathway is available. And then my personal favorite right now is the Vibe High Club. It's a membership program that allows you to have the option of different pathways on manifestation, but ultimately the
Mm.
goal is to have an environment that nurtures your soul and gives you the space to integrate everything that you learn through all of the different possibilities of manifestation. So you learn the rebel manifestation method. There's pathways if you have something specific you want to manifest.
Oh,
And then
nice.
there's this whole concept of integration that's really important. So you're like in the environment, you're working with other people who are manifesting either similar things or who've gone through similar values as you. And you're getting encouraged, and there's weekly coaching in that program as well.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so that's the membership program, and then there's always a VIP option and one-to-one option.
Nice. Wow, you that is just like so that's like very again, we were talking earlier about like something being like never been done before. I don't think I've ever seen it been done before. So definitely a type of unique blueprint in manifesting money metrics, all that beautiful stuff. So okay, thanks so much for being here, Genel. This was such a great conversation. Can't wait to upload it to the Vortex. I know people are really going to gain a lot from it. Anything else you want to add? Is there what are you manifesting right now?
Oh, right now I am manifesting 700,000 cash.
Nice.
My business this year in
Okay.
2025. That's like my short-term manifestation. Long-term manifestation, we are calling in a property that is cliffside somewhere in Washington.
Okay. I
That's
don't think I've heard that one
that's
from you before.
my
Okay.
ultimate goal
Yeah,
of
yeah, you did.
having the ranch on the cliffside so I can start the whale research facility and the arts and all of that.
Okay, yes,
First
now I
next step, I
remember.
just want the property.
You're like, I'm gonna like really dial it in here. It's done.
Yeah, this is the
This is
one thing I'm
done.
focusing on right now.
Yeah, it's done. It's done. It's done. There's nothing too big, no too small manifestations. You're manifesting all the time. Might as well be specific about it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Janelle, for coming on the Vortex.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay, wow. What a great episode with Janelle talking all about, being a rebel, that fear, how it drives us, and what we can do about it. It can be for our benefit. It can also really hurt us. And like breaking those cycles and moving forward as a match for your desires is so incredibly potent. I also really love how she was talking about, like investment strategy and using intuition for that. And I just think it's, so great. Like the truth is you get to shift your vortex. You get to shift and change your frequency and embody the frequency of that which you desire every single day. Taking those small actionable steps, whether it be with a coach or without, moving and shifting and changing yourself all the time, it really does get to be so good. And sometimes when you see other people like me or like her stepping into that space, stepping into that power, you get to really move and you have the permission and you can see like what other people are doing and how your dreams, aspirations, and vision are not small potatoes. They are not something that is too aspirational, too big, too limitless. Like, no, there are no limits. You are the creator of your reality and you get to have everything you want and desire. If you're listening to this and you're like, I'm ready to shift my frequency, I'm ready to change my vortex, I'm ready to move as a match for my desires, come find me on Instagram, come find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever it is. Download my wealth activation freebie and just use that as like a little bit of a momentum to shift your vortex today. Thanks for listening. Please leave a like, comment, review, whatever you feel aligned with, and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever you have social media. Have a great day.